Hi there, Lee Farnell here. I'm so excited because I'm actually working on something else right now, but I wanted to share, talking about empowerment, talking about getting excited about things that inspire you. I was putting together information about our acceleration program, our life, career, business acceleration program, and I was just looking for some Warren Buffett quotes because I just know there's a fantastic quote that he has about investing in yourself, about the most important thing being to learn and invest in yourself. And so I was looking for that quote, and I come across these fantastic quotes I just want to share with you because talk about empower and inspire and give clarity and give direction. Here we call him the Sage of Omaha. Warren Buffett, let me read from Wikipedia. Warren Edward Buffett, born August 30, 1930, is an American investor, business tycoon, philanthropist and chairman and CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. He's considered one of the most successful investors in the world and has a net worth, now get this, a net worth of over $85 billion US, which is well over $100 billion in Australian dollars as of December 2020, making him, listen to this, the world's fourth wealthiest person. Now, if they say success leaves clues, then get inside Warren Buffett's mind and let's just listen. Let me just read out to you some of the fantastic quotes that are here that give you an insight into, as NLP would say, his meta-programming, his meta-modeling, capturing the essence and the approach of his life. We're talking about life, career, business. As people say, when he talks, people listen. It's an understatement. So let's just read out some of these ones that I just fired me up so much. As Buffett said, just imagine, by the way, if people actually learnt this in primary school or secondary school or university or even before you got a bank loan for a business or a house, that they actually taught you this and you did classes on this when they gave out your piggy banks, if they still give those out. Remember in primary school they used to give out those little banks you put your money in to save your pennies and pounds and cents and dollars. But no, they just gave you the bank. They didn't teach you. In fact, maybe they actually, as Robert Kiyosaki would say, maybe they actually wanted you to not understand. It reminds me of my niece only recently went to look at a car and ended up walking out. She's only turned 21, walking out having signed a contract for a $40,000 utility. She put a $500 deposit down, and then when her mother said, "What's the balloon payment? What's the interest rate?" she had no idea. Unbelievable. Which, of course, on a complete aside, the finance industry says to car yards, "We'll lend you the money at 3% or 5%, and whatever you can get, you keep." So if they buy it at 3% and sell it at 13%, good luck to them. So the industry goes. I'm not sure what you think in terms of that, but that's called naivety. That's called financial illiteracy. And of course, the world is full of people. When I say full, it's actually not full of people, but there's enough people out there who are only too willing to take advantage of your financial illiteracy. What do they say? A fool and their money are soon parted. On the other side, Warren Buffett, let's get inside his head. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. What? Listen to this. Rule number 1, never lose money. Rule number 2, never forget rule number 1. Wow. Remember that the stock market is a manic depressive. It overreacts. Great. So immediately he takes advantage of the manic depressive behavior of it overreacting. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. Oh yeah. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. So your job in business is to articulate the value, the difference you make. So get clear, do workshops with your people, write it down yourself. What is the value? What's the difference you make? How do you make people's lives easier, more fun, more convenient, more healthy, more enjoyable, improve their balance sheet, improve their sales figures, make their life so much more empowered? That's the business we're in. Beware the investment activity that produces applause. The great moves are usually greeted by yawns. Quiet, considered, very clever. Risk, oh, this is a good one. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Let me read that again. Risk comes from not knowing what you're doing. Therefore, know what you're doing. Buffett says, I would never invest in a company I know nothing about, which is why he didn't invest in computers for so long. Bill Gates said, mate, you've got to get into computers. It's only going to keep technology. You've got to keep investing. He goes, I don't know anything about them. He said, I know about chewing gum and I know about Coca-Cola and I know about credit cards. I know about steaks. I know about furniture. I know about timber. I know about insurance. Don't know anything about technology. So I don't put my money in areas I don't know anything about. Never, and this is it. He says, next quote, never invest in a business you cannot understand. Never invest in a business you cannot understand. I know he's talked about not understanding online businesses, not understanding cryptocurrency. He's the fourth most wealthy person on the planet, folks. In the business world, the rear vision mirror is always clearer than the windshield. Everyone's an expert in hindsight. In the business world, the rear view mirror is always clearer than the windshield. It's far better to buy a wonderful company at a fair price than a fair company at a wonderful price. Oh, what a good one. Value investing. Value investing is what he learned from his mentor, Benjamin Graham. He called it cigar butt investing. Famously told his turn away from cigar butt investing, yeah. The famous quote is very interesting, is frequently value investors will pass on anything that they cannot get for a deeply discounted price. Berkshire Hathaway has taken a different approach and instead focused on investing in the right companies. In other words, don't just go for cheap. This was one of Buffett's early lessons as a value investor, famously told as his turn away from cigar butt investing. In other words, trying to get the very much. Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah. If a business does well, the stock eventually follows. If the business does well, the stock eventually. Invest in good businesses. Only buy something that you're perfectly happy to hold if the market shut down for 10 years. What a great criteria. Only buy something that you're perfectly happy to hold if the market shuts down for 10 years. Calling someone who trades actively in the market an investor is like calling someone who repeatedly engages in one-night stands a romantic. Calling someone who trades actively in the market an investor is like calling someone who repeatedly engages in one-night stands a romantic. Oh, that's hilarious. That's fantastic. Don't you love the power of words? I mean, and getting inside the mind of a champion, a legend, a world champion, fourth best in the world, self-made. I mean, he didn't start as a millionaire or billionaire like so many. He started with little or nothing. His father was a salesperson, I think an insurance salesperson, some kind of salesperson. A salesperson had a little library on business and selling, and that got young Warren Buffett around age 10. It's a great documentary, by the way, you can get it on YouTube. It's called Becoming Warren Buffett. HBO or someone put it together, and it starts off with him in a classroom talking to teenagers about money and investing. It really is a great documentary. I highly recommend it. The stock market is designed to transfer money from the active to the patient. The stock market is designed to transfer money from the active to the patient. Don't be impatient when it comes to your money. Oh, that's fantastic. If you aren't thinking about owning a stock for 10 years, don't even think about owning it for 10 minutes. Wow, what a criteria. The Sage of Omaha. Our favourite holding period is forever. Buy it and keep it. Our favourite holding period is forever. This is another one. An investor should act as though he had a lifetime decision card with just 20 punches on it. In other words, you could only make 20 decisions. You could only make 20 investments. If that's the case, you would take your time, you'd do your research, you'd really get to know, wouldn't you? I've got to say, I've made some jump in on emotion, jump in on greed, jump in because I knew the person, jump in because they said, hey, Lee, can you give me a spread of shares? It's really going to go up. I did no research, jumped in and bang, the money vaporized. Oh, boy. Oh, I've done that a number of times. live and learn. And boy, and even, what is it? The biggest risk is not knowing what you're doing. That's what it was. Jumped in on emotion, jumped in on trust. Oh boy. An investor should act as though he had a lifetime decision card with just 20 punches on it. Time is the friend of a wonderful company, the enemy of the mediocre. Oh yeah, because the mediocre is struggling and it might be faking it. Why not invest your assets in companies you really like? As Mae West said, too much of a good thing can be wonderful. Why not invest your assets in companies you really like? As Mae West said, too much of a good thing can be wonderful. Oh yes. Oh, this is a good one. The business schools reward difficult, complex behaviour more than simple behaviour, but simple behaviour is more effective. The business schools reward difficult, complex behaviour more than simple behaviour, but simple behaviour is more effective. How true, boy, oh boy. At one stage, my supervisor of my master's thesis said to me, Lee, my job as an academic is to take something simple and make it sound complicated. Oh boy, and he was very good at that. As this writer said, in my opinion, this is one of the best Warren Buffett's quotes of all time. So many of his investing strategies focus on simplifying the process to make sound decisions. That's exactly what we're on about at Everyday Empowerment Institute. Simplifying the process to make sound decisions. For example, he's a fan of using the rule of 72, which lets you figure out how long it takes for an investment to double without using your calculator. Check it out. There seems to be some perverse human characteristic that likes to make easy things difficult. Yeah, why is that? That is strange. Forecasts may tell you a great deal about the forecaster. They tell you nothing about the future. I'm clearly skeptical about forecasters, all these people who know what the economy is going to do. Forecasts may tell you a great deal about the forecaster. They tell you nothing about the future. So the optimistic forecaster is going to forecast an optimistic future. The pessimistic forecaster is going to forecast a pessimistic future. Yes. So you've got to work it out yourself. Not only that, just take a look at the stock market, take a look at the world. It does go on. And the stock market, it does go up. Buy a stock the way you'd buy a house. Understand and like it such that you'd be content to own it in the absence of any market. Oh, what a great piece. Buy a stock the way you'd buy a house. Understand and like it such that you'd be content to own it in the absence of any market. What a mindset. What a set of guiding principles and decisions that you and I can use. I mean, 20 or 30 years ago, the only way you could get to hear from Warren Buffett is his occasional interview or to be a shareholder and be at the annual general meeting of Berkshire Hathaway. Now, here it is on the internet. Get inside his head, folks. Rewire your thinking. Change your paradigm. Paradigms create outcomes. Paradigms drive progress. The right paradigm will drive the right progress. The wrong paradigm will drive poverty. Diversification is protection against ignorance. It makes little sense if you know what you are doing. Diversification is protection against ignorance. It makes little sense if you know what you're doing. Wide diversification is only required when investors do not understand what they're doing. So he's saying, so the more you know about what you're doing, the more you can focus your wealth, focus your investment into those that are good investments rather than spread too thinly across a lot. Opportunities come in frequently. Oh, this is good. Opportunities come in frequently. When it rains gold, put out the bucket, not the thimble. So be able to recognize opportunities. When it rains gold, put out the bucket, not the thimble. We always live in an uncertain world. What is certain is the United States will go forward over time. We always live in an uncertain world. What is certain is the United States will go forward over time. Optimism on the future of his country. It's better to hang out with people better than you. Pick out associates whose behaviour is better than yours, or you'll drift in that direction. Fly with the eagles, learn to fly like an eagle. I say, it reminds me of the time I used to go to Sydney and train with the New South Wales State Water Polo team. I was not anywhere near state level, but hanging out with those guys, I had to train as hard, and I had to make sure my passes were good, and I had to make sure my shots were better, and I had to make sure I worked harder in defence, and needless to say, I got to be a better player. It's better to hang out with people better than you. Pick out associates whose behaviour is better than yours, and you'll drift in that direction. So true. Be strategic about who you hang out with. Of the billionaires I've known, money just brings out the basic traits in them. If they were jerks before they had money, they're simply jerks with $1 billion. That's what one person said to me once. Money just magnifies who you really are. Of the billionaires I've known, money just brings out the basic traits in them. If they were jerks before they had money, they're simply jerks with $1 billion. Oh, gee, I love that. It takes 20 years to build a reputation and 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. Yeah. It takes 20 years to build a reputation, 5 minutes to ruin it. If you think about that, you'll do things differently. If you get to my age in life and nobody thinks well of you, I don't care how big your bank account is, your life is a disaster. Oh yes, a reputation. If you get to my age in life, in his case, well into his 80s, and nobody thinks well of you, I don't care how big your bank account is, your life is a disaster. Reputation. Reputation. Basically, when you get to my age, you'll really measure your success in life by how many of the people you want to have love you actually do love you. Oh boy. Wow. That touched me. That really touched me. Basically, when you get to my age, you'll really measure your success in life by how many of the people you want to have love you actually do love you. Oh boy, your kids, your grandkids. He says this about himself: I always knew I was going to be rich. I don't think I ever doubted it for a minute. Wow, lack of doubt, clarity of focus. I always knew I was going to, certainty. So, internal dialogue, internal state, vibration coming from within. I always knew I was going to be rich. Just think about that for a second. Your internal dialogue, your state, your congruence, the vibration you put out into the universe when you say, I always knew I was going to be rich, as distinct from, poor me, I've always been a struggler. I don't think I ever doubted it for a moment. Doubt. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. You only have to do a very few things right in your life so long as you don't do too many things wrong. Wow. Honesty is a very expensive gift. Don't expect it from cheap people. Look, it goes on. I'm going to continue this at another edition. There's so many great things there from Warren Buffett. I'm going to hang up now. Thanks for watching, folks. Thanks for listening. And touch base. Enroll in our acceleration workshop. It really is fantastic. And thanks for listening. I'm Lee Farnell, Everyday Empowerment Institute.